Reserves. The gentleman from Rhode Island is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
Gentleman
I
is
just want to make a
recognized.
couple of points quickly. This legislation has nothing to do with limitations on the Second Amendment, has nothing to do with red flag laws, has nothing to do with this claim about defunding the police, and there's lots of material I have for the record that shows police departments have been cutting other communities led by Republican mayors and Republican governors. Let's not have that debate. This is about a simple provision that will save lives. And with all due respect to my colleagues who claim they understand what this legislation is about, I trust the judgment of the men and women who are actually going into active shooters. I don't think there's a single member who has spoken who's been responsible for responding to an active shooting incident. And I think it's time we respect the men and women who actually do that every day. And the men and women of law enforcement are pleading for this legislation to help keep them safe and the communities they serve. I won't be so presumptuous, Madam Speaker, as to think I have a better judgment on that question than they do. That's why they've all endorsed this bill. The third thing I want to say is, Mr. Massey said, Madam Speaker, that this question wasn't answered. I'll answer it again the same way I answered it in committee. The standards are established by law enforcement. Active shooters exist already in some states and in some local communities. There are a set of protocols. Obviously, they don't wait until the shooting has concluded to notify people. They use common sense, their own standards about when they see a danger, someone with a gun that's expressing some intention to use it, or whatever standard they consider appropriate as members of law enforcement to alert the community. This is common sense. The problem is there are a lot of small departments that don't have the ability to access this system or to understand best practices or to see the research about how it's used most effectively. That would allow them to have access to that. Not a single jurisdiction that doesn't want to use it is required to. There's no federal government power here. It's making it available. If you decide as a local law enforcement agency or a state you don't want to use it, you don't have to. But it's making it available. This will save lives. And I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Such irony. Gentleman talked about Democrats lecturing Republicans on law enforcement and respect for law enforcement. This from the party who spent an entire summer talking about defunding the police, who had elected officials in this body, Democrats in this body, raise money to bail out the rioters and looters who they called peaceful protesters who were attacking police, and now he's going to lecture Republicans on respect for law enforcement. I mean, you can't make it up. This is how the Democrats operate today. I would yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Michigan, Mr. Upton.
The gentleman is recognized.